Then call the next word community water, it also stands for pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, for roll call, everybody can close the here. There are no agenda modifications this evening. There are no announcements or clarifications. At the time, we will adjourn our regular business meeting without a legislative hearing on an amendment zoning work. I'm meeting over to solicitor for.
So we get in the works for quite a while. They are administrative tech, and the chapter 47. What I'd like to do at this time is to open the session. Okay, all right. This there's a key one, both zoning board health. Key two is a recommendation of the Lower Country Township Planning Commission dated September 12th. E3 is a letter from Nathan Jones, our township planner, to the Lehigh Planning Commission, dated October 14th. In closing, the board is amendment for its review and acknowledgement. E4, letter from Nathan Jones, and planner to Albertsville, Hayesville, Huntington, or Nelson Township, also Nelson Township, Huntington Township, South Whitehall Township, Salisbury Township, Onslaught Township, Fairford Township, all made in October 15, including as opposed to there. E5 legal notice and public improved publication. Press, October 2, 5, October 3, 5, October 9, and October 3rd. E6 is a letter from Renee Lester, assistant township manager. Lehigh County Department of Law is October 20, 2025. Closing document proposed for this amendment. Along with the department's letter dated 10, 2025. E7 is a letter from Upper Township to Nathan Jones, dated October 24, 2025, providing on time. E8 is in Fairford Township, to be created by Tuesday, November 2025, dated 8 until time. E9 is a letter from our Milford Township. 2025, dated 8 until time. And E10 is a review letter of the Lehigh Planning Commission. Is for what? At this time, I'll turn it over to Alan to what this is.
Yes, sir. For those who have not had breath of the zoning tax amendment that has been put planning commission before previously, work that is compiled to essentially better enforce and administer our existing zoning ordinance following the good enforcement and regular activities of our township zoning officer, the development director, planning department, everybody who touches the zoning ordinance and has found there's room for us to make tweaks to continue to improve to serve our residents, our local businesses, and those who are coming to the township interested in doing business as well. So with that, there are 5 sections where we need administrative changes. I should note for the record, it's incredibly important, we are not making any changes to the zoning map, we are not making any changes to the zoning use table, these are text amendments for administration purposes only. They include changes to definition sections, with the addition of certain new definitions or editing existing definitions. The commercial district standard, which talks about and administer and regulate specifics within the commercial district as far as development design standards, and standards, deeply enforcing our, design guidelines that we have adopted as a township, which include architectural and landscape architecture. Off-site parking standards, again, for administration, that has to do with, parking design, parking stall design, parking lot, and parking court design, and standards and number of parking spaces needed in the state. Signage standards for signs, the administration and regulatory session and all signs throughout the township and all of the zoning districts. And last but not least, our conditional use procedures, how conditional uses are received and administered by the township, and the savings clause of the township, which essentially just notes that this is not listed in the ordinance. The conditional use is an industry standard, and regional standard is noted in the VIL planning commission. So those are the 5 major items that we press, as part of the exercise, and we have it ready before the consideration.
Thank you. This would be a time for commissioners to, provide any comment or questions for Mr. Jones on part of the presentation.
I have no comment.
The only problem, I attend to the meetings, you know, like, sure, look, I covered it. Pretty good.
This would be a time for public comment. Provide public comment. Being here in time, it's time to close the hearing and re-adjourn the sitting.
So we will close the, legislative hearing, and we will, reconvene our normal business. Do I have a motion to approve the changes to chapter 27 of the zoning for tax amendment? We have a motion for a second. Motion second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing here none, I will call for vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, it's a roll call. So, Ms. Fletcher, if you please call the roll.
Mr. Baker,
Aye.
Mr. Ward,
Aye.
Mr. Weiser,
Aye.
Mr. Higgins,
Aye.
Mr. Roberts.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Item 6.2, resolution 2025-53. Approval of preliminary final residential subdivision and land development at 1470 Brookside Road, Schwab meter subdivision. Mr. Jones.
Yes, thanks, sir. So this is a plan that has gone through, several rounds of review with the Township Planning Commission and has been received by the Board of Commissioners for consideration this evening. This is a subdivision that consists of a new cul-de-sac, which we call, land court, which connects directly to land terrace, our field. We requested a change in land court. You know, one to delineate the neighborhood, 2 for life-saving services, emergency service, for the site. Additionally, as we know throughout the design process, the number of proposed residential lots has shrunk, to better, manage storm sewer on the site, which has been shortly. But we are now down to 8 lots that will include single-family residences. And these lots we have looked at quite a number of matters, specifically regarding easements. And one point of note, we have a lot that has a designated wetland on it, so the recommendation and the planning commission conditional use. I would note that there's a path that is close along both sides of the road, it's 1470 Hillside Road Express, you know, after the state from the internal, the Harbor Field, there will be frontage made on the side of the road where it's path on Street Tree. The applicant is requesting a waiver, based on PennDOT requirements that it will not be a curb on the side road. I should also note, we work very closely with respect to landscape architecture design. We always do to make sure that the stormwater management features, actually include not just naturalization as required by our aesthetic standards, so that when we live here and drive by, we'll, have a pleasant view. And we've also worked very closely with the applicant on the placement of required street trees, and we found that as those trees mature, they depend on infrastructure issues, so there's a waiver request that will be put on the opposite side of the sidewalk, so that the roof system does not flow into the street curb, piping, wherever you fluid in the general area. The monument signs that will be provided in this neighborhood. And with that, with the number of reviews that we have received on this point in time, the plan commission included a recommendation letter to you for your consideration with both conditions and waivers. However, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Gavin, as there were a number of technical items throughout the review process, because we were able to iron out the recommendations for you this evening, and he'll be able to speak to that. So, Mr. Gavin?
Thank you. I believe you did talk about this at a recent workshop. The items remaining in our review that need to be addressed are preliminary, primarily sort of cleanup items. As Nate had mentioned, we went back and forth with the applicant's engineer several times regarding stormwater management, and the basin that is currently proposed will rely 100% on infiltration for the discharge. So essentially, all the impervious surface from this project will get the basin and infiltrate. Nothing will get into the storm sewer system in Brookside Road and beyond. The plan does show traditional outlet structure with a pipe that connects to a proposed inlet that will, I'll say, kind of clean up a little bit the low point from Brookside Road, which is one of the reasons that we need to go to PennDOT. But that's there as a kind of an emergency, because everything ultimately, including under your storm, will stay in the basin and infiltrate. So we're comfortable with where things stand. Like I said, there are drafting engineering things to address, but all of the big picture and more serious items have been addressed to the point where we're comfortable. If the board should choose to approve it tonight, we're comfortable that the items in my letter and other staff letters can be addressed without dramatic changes.
Okay, we have a motion to the second motion, the second, is there any commissioner comments or questions? Commissioner Rob.
Okay, one, what I had is associated with recreation. If I remember correctly, with the subdivision, this property off of, 1450, Brookside Road, that there was a charge of recreational fee at that point. And so this property would have the one recreational fee exclusion. And so it seems like it ought to be only 7 times the 3,800 rather than 8 times the 3,800.
Great, we can check that and make sure that that's squared away in the development.
Okay.
Any other commissioner comments or questions? Is there any, yeah,
No, I think your staff described the project properly and can't improve on that.
okay, great. I'll make one comment, I made it in the workshop, and I'll do it again. My only concern about these homes, is that, especially with the first lot on the left-hand side, it does run adjacent to a active and working, camp behind there, where we're already having issues from our neighbors around there in terms of noise complaints, any public comment? Seeing here none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 6.3. Resolution 2025-54, approval of a preliminary final land development to Jago Lane Company for a commercial development located at 2550 Pennsylvania Route 100, Strathmore, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. So this is a existing, commercial spring creek zone property at the corner of Route 100 and features our about main extension, which is currently under construction, as partial finish. Those in the audience and watching from home may be aware of the site from the King Creek Medical Office Building, which rests at the southern end of the site and has been built for a number of years. King Creek Building also includes Center Street landscaping around it. This site is essentially going to finish off and move north to the end of the new block with Sour Valley extension. The anchor for the area, as noted in the application, is Sprouts, which is the regional supermarket, which is the first we have out of the region. There's also proposed commercial retail service pad, as well as proposed bank. The applicants have noted that there aren't any particular users for those guests, and they want to keep forward with the bank process, with the entirety of the shop. From a planning perspective, the planning commission did provide recommendations for the commissioners, as well as the recent workshop. The planning commission had a fair amount of time discussing pedestrian connectivity to the site, due to its proximity to many neighborhoods that are right near Tower Lane, and the thought likely desire for residents for fair weather, walk, bike over the crowd, potentially at any restaurants that might be services that might be in the commercial service pad. We work very closely with the applicants to ensure that there is a intra site without a route site from St. Luke's all the way up to Sprout and then into Tower Lane walking path system, so that it's not just a fully car-oriented site. Additionally, we work with the applicants to ensure, and they work with us as well, to continue the streetscaping that exists around St. Luke's all the way up to the north part of the site. So this will have a design and designated streetscape feel to it for the entirety of the block in terms of both landscaping and path, as well as street fencing that is proposed. And I should note that street trees that are proposed on Route 100 due to the overhead line, which is why it's chosen, so that unlike other early developments we have in the township, we should not have to that see lots trimming in years to come as the trees come mature. Loading and storage for the new Sprout site, as well as the other buildings, has been adequately shielded at the interior of the site. And if we can move on next door, I would note that while this site is going to be taking its access in the new Sour Lane extension, and that is how fast we're going to get in and out. Following Sour Lane extension, there is going to be the regional stormwater management basin. This regional stormwater management basin handles stormwater in Sour Lane as well as this development, this part of the development. This basin, we work very closely with applicants on as well to ensure that it met and they oblige our current natural elevation and aesthetic design standards. So they have chosen mixes that will include meadow and flowers, as well as a number of flowering shrubs and trees, as well as some large harvest specimen trees that will make the basin area more of a showpiece as opposed to anything that is hidden by the overload trees. We ask folks to do this one, because the water quality in the area, the aesthetic, meet our standards, which are basically have been run by Township Nature Project by fire department, also off the Tower Crossing, there, but also it keeps it can actually keep harbors away from animals locally and picture dumping. In this area, I should also note the applicant requested a waiver, temporary waiver for the walking paths that would be required along the frontage of this basin. As we spoke, as I mentioned previously, about the pathway connectivity, they understand there's asking for a waiver, but I would note in the future, this area here will be able to connect to Quarry Park, time comes, we will review each individual application to make sure that we're okay with parking management for the site. Just because we don't have the final users for the bill. But again, the planning commission provided a recommendation based off of that comment and their own deliberations for this evening. And I'd like to hand it over to Mr. McAdams to speak more actual time, the site, especially considering, the fact that, it involves movement of the floor base and completion of our tower building. Mr. McAdams.
Thanks, give me a second, while I go to the eleven, mentioning everything. No, seriously, this was discussed, the project and the stormwater stuff was discussed at both the planning commission, meeting as well as at the board workshop. Extremely complicated in terms of past projects and construction of existing basins that will be rendered obsolete by virtue of the basins that are being constructed with this project. The applicant's engineer was extremely courteous in walking us through the history of how things work, and I'll call it in this corridor, regarding improvements to Route 100, as well as the basin and the collection and conveyance systems. The short answer is everything that is on the current plan has accounted for all of the previous stormwater requirements for what has been built in St. Luke's medical office building. But it also takes into account other improvements along Route 100 for past projects. Everything got updated, so to speak, and what we will wind up with is an extremely comprehensive set of improvements to Route 100 that take into account past projects as well as future development, and that includes all of the stormwater work. As Nate mentioned appropriately, because of the location of the project, the primary access to this phase is via the South Outlet extension, which, as you're all aware, is currently not finished. The PennDOT permit that includes the Route 100 work and that intersection will allow that portion of the roadway to be completed. In conjunction with that is the basin, because as part of the Route 100 HOP work, the basin was always proposed. It has been amended slightly because of the applicant now having tenants for this site, knowing what they're building there, as well as updates and changes to water quality, and stormwater management things that weren't contemplated before that were specifically for the PennDOT permit. So in short, I don't know what to say about the site itself, extremely simple. Parking lot, three buildings, circulation fine, we've reviewed it, we're comfortable with it. There are certainly engineering and drafting things to be worked out in our letter, but we've had successful conversations with the applicant and their engineer. I'm comfortable that everything can be addressed, and would like to assure the board that upon receipt of the HOP and the construction of the furniture improvements on Route 100, the completion of South Outlet extension, and that basin, that this corridor, if you will be completely up to date and accepted.
We have a motion to second. We have a motion to second. Any commissioner comments, questions? I'll just make one comment for public, clarity. This development is part of a legal settlement that happened 13 years ago. So this is nothing new to the township. It's just kind of the completion of a legally binding agreement. And I would say that I'm pleased with what we're going to see here, and I'm glad that the stormwater management has been updated, considering its first plan 14 years ago. Any public comments, questions? Anything from the app?
Robert Fresh, I'm already going to actually very good, a great working relationship. Just one of the walking trail, we actually are actually with the world, I believe.
Right.
We focus on
Thanks for clarity. Okay, there are no more comments or questions. I'll call the vote, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yeah, thank you very much. Item 6.4, resolution 2025-55, authorizing indemnification agreement and HOP submission for Brookside Meadows Apartments, Land Development, and 3500 Brookside Road. Mr. Fisher. No, Mr. Fisher. You're on. You got it. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I can hardly hear anybody if that was thrown to me. I thought I heard my name, but the sound is bad.
We hear you good.
Okay. All right. Give me 1 second here.
I'm sure Mark will call. I don't know you're still over the number. And that is. We're not saying your procedures are 7 years ago. Anytime there's an application for an HOP, the township and/or borough is the signatory. Yeah. So what we've done is find what I consider to be a bulletproof indemnity. So if this happens, and then eventually you can turn it over to, yeah, in this case, it's 35. That's what. Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, there is a second motion, and second, there is Commissioner comments, questions.
I get all. Like the attorney Bruce said, then the page is reading, makes the developer and the successful entitled to the property. Liable, that holds the township, with their to farms. This is something that protects the township, which I support. But what I don't support is applying for an HOP without an improvement to Indian Creek and Brookside Road, which is something the developer does not want to do. And a little bit of history on this. This was shot down, this project by the board. It was appealed to the courts, and the court's decision overturned ours. So living here all these years and going by the history of that intersection, Indian Creek and Brookside, it's a mess now. There's plenty of accidents there now. And we're just gonna add traffic to that, but without a light being guaranteed there. This could get an HOP without a light. Without a light being guaranteed there, it's just gonna make traffic worse, in my opinion. So I am not in favor of this, not because it's been paid, but because of the HOPs applied for developers not supporting good traffic.
Thank you, brother. Any other comments or questions? I will just add my comments that I agree with Commissioner Butler, on the history of this and the danger, this development poses to the general public. What this comes down to is that at some point, the rest of the citizens all over the country are going to have to put a bill for a traffic light that will become more necessary because of development that should not be there. And finally, I'll say that all of this is due to the efficient work and responsibility of PennDOT, who continues to advocate their responsibilities to provide safe and effective roads, especially when it pertains to roads that are under their control, as Brookside Road is. This is not the first place they've done this. It won't be the last place they're going to do this, but they need to be recognized by the public as them shirking their duties and providing safe and effective travel to work. Is there any public comment?
I should add, well, yeah, that is a coach, that, yeah, the commission, what, for communicating and, need these improvements. and we won't stop. I don't know if anything will happen, but we will continue to promote, and, the applicant who, there's,
Thank you.
Yes, what are the ramifications of not approving?
moving forward.
Any call time? Seeing hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Opposed. That's 3-2 now. 3-2. Item 6.5, consideration of two traffic signal applications. More than that. Consideration of two traffic signal applications, PD-160, we have prevention devices at the intersections of 100 and Alvarez Road, and Mill Creek Road, and Lower Mackenzie Road. This is by
Thank you, gentlemen. Last history on our P-160 program, this is comparative for traffic signals. As you may be aware, as part of the process, the board has authorized the township staff to engage and adjust P-160 when necessary, through our agreement with PennDOT. However, for us internally, we bring these back before the board, just so there's a record of them being adjusted or changed. So what you see before you is to actually equip two intersections with emergency pre-entry devices. They are at the location of Mill Creek Road and Lower Mackenzie Road, and also at Route 100 and Albertus Road. As part of the adjustment for the PD-160 traffic permitting, we did look at three intersections in that corridor, Willow and 100, Albertus Road and 100, and Kingman and 100, specific to timing adjustments around the map plan at various times. Almost over a year ago, Commissioner Robert had very good feedback for us to look down towards Carlo, make sure that we wouldn't have negative effects on air traffic pattern on Main Street, and then work together potentially for timing adjustments throughout the corridor. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in being able to work with our neighbor further down on the intersection. We have a traffic engineer review just the three intersections that we mentioned. We are able with his recommendation to adjust the timing and potentially not affect the product. So P-160 primarily for the completion of the 2025 production projects were needed to be submitted. But we also adjust the timing of those two intersections as well as part of the project. So I'm going to give a little bit more extensive background from getting spoken about this and quite some time.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second, are there any commissioner comments or questions? As one comment, Bruce, your team parts trying, and please correct me if I'm wrong. It's not to run successful in working with the borough, the borough to return our call.
They return our call and certainly researched it and just called it one of aggregate trust.
Any further comment? Seeing here none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And 6.6, consideration to authorize advertisement of an ordinance approving the budget and setting the tax rate for 2026. Mr. Bud.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your consideration. After the first budget meetings, that the public and board, we are at the point where we're requesting or consider placing this proposed budget in the public review and discussion by the first township code. This document has to give for feedback, both in our township building for comment. We also post this online the next 20 days. And then the township commissioners to then consider our second meeting in December. So what you're authorizing is the accessory to the budget to, go out upon review. We keep our income tax, at that 1.5% that is brought in, same with the real estate transfer tax, 1.5 of the 1% of revenue. Local service tax, you get the $2 per each of all revenue, non-resident employee township. Our real estate tax, I'm happy to announce, remains at 45 bills, unchanged. The library tax, voted by the special, election referendum, at 0.25 mils. And the following budget, appropriation. Both, revenue and expenditures will be matching, for all of these budgets. General fund, $14,268,043. Solid waste fund, $5,596,000. Sewer fund, $5,568,700. Debt service fund, $2,927,416. Capital fund, $3,358,922. The open space fund, $2,630,544. The open space maintenance fund, $285,000. State liquid fuels fund, $1,125,000. Once again, I'd like to thank the board, the college, and all of our staff, who make, the process, move forward, frankly, a very efficient manner. So, with that, just ask your consideration to move this forward.
Do a motion, there's a second. Motion, the second, any commissioner comments, questions, Mr. Rob.
Okay, we had workshops that we budgeted at some point, consider eliminating, the homestead exemption from the real estate tax. And no place in the ordinance that, refers to, to that tax, that ID. I mean, it does make a reference to as previously, but, it seems to me that we, well, first, the certification, putting it into without the exemption, or does the exemption still apply, which I think is reference to. And secondly, is that what we want to do, or should we make people aware of it, so that they're aware of it, and they want to do it?
So, I'll hopefully answer your question here fairly thoroughly. What you have before you this evening, is the ordinance, specific to the budget. The budget did, account for, the current homestead exemption rate. The budget is not proposed to, alter that at this point in 2026. The component that I mentioned, the homestead, rate is set by the board as a separate resolution. We have prepared in December a local budget package, that resolution to, continue the homestead at the same rate. Of course, the board has the ability to consider a different, homestead rate at that point for that resolution. I would note, it's something that, is going to be substantially considered. We would have to, potentially based on the rate, change the line item for revenue in the capital, fund, which then may, lead to the situation of, reopening the budget or, having the budget set week for 10 days, for public feedback, and look for approval then, in January. So the budget was not proposed to have, any alteration at least for 2026, and that's this ordinance proposed is, just the budget as presented.
Commissioner Roberts, the conversation that had, the president mentioned that is something that depends at some point, whether
No, I agree with them, you know, like that is, and as far as the existing items of pictures that are built into them, there is no reference to the homestead exemption.
That's correct, it's on my resolution.
Huh?
It's on my resolution instead of ordinance, that's why it's not mentioned, because you are, still setting your tax and ordinance plan, at the point of time zero bills for real estate taxes. So, it's always been separate, you can legal look, and review it, but that component, was standalone compared to, since that's been that.
Commissioner Beck.
So, the bottom line is for the homestead, we stand. The bottom line is, for this ordinance specifically, we have budgeted an amount of money, that anticipates the homestead exclusion staying at its current level, which is, 50% of the average effect. So, yes, rest of the world is using a separate resolution, to alter the value, but I would caution you that, then that makes, the budget adjustment eventually necessary. So, yeah, it factors in the current.
Well, I'm here under the understanding that it's not changing. It was not discussed, and it was being discussed, the rate eliminated, and I will never even think of it homes that benefits people that rate. Yeah, and so just to make it clear, never be take. And this is what happens every year with the budget. You know, staff and for our budget workshops, they use the budget off of where we are currently. Once that resolution comes up for approval in the December meeting, the board is free to vote yes or vote no or vote to change it. Again, there are ramifications to that. That's okay. That's the problem. But it will be voted on separately, as it has been every year for the last 12 years with everybody.
And from what I've heard, and if you do want to change it, what we do is take action prior to the voice of problem. So it is taken into account where, rather than, we can open stuff and, or that.
Well, and that's the reason we had a free budget workshop. So that if someone wants to change it, bring up issues for in budget process.
But, you know, for the, better. Because then they have something it's going to be really nice.
Well, they're making an assumption on that as well. In the budget workshops, when we come to capital section of the budget, you can determine if you want more things in there and then figure out how to pay for it. It could be either raising taxes or anything so I mean, I would respectfully, say that you do that already. It's just a matter of making those suggestions. The staff can only work with what they know.
Right.
And then that's why we have the workshop, so that if someone thinks we should be sending more or we should be bringing more, then we make those recommendations at that time. But that being said, there's still going to be a resolution going on, and the majority of the board is not on it, since the majority of the board will vote it down, and we'll start moving. And it was called out at the workshop, and I told it. I don't know, it's cheap. Okay. Is there any public comment? Seeing here none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Please advertise. Item 7, public comment on non-agenda topics. Any public comment on non-agenda topics? Seeing none, moving on to communication, Mr. White.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, this evening. Brianna Fitz from Verizon, they're now expressing interest for cable franchise agreement. We'll have a further discussion about that at the workshop on Monday. Brian, you have a statement of interest from the hearing board. Heather Schiff, statement of interest for being the library board. Brian Evans, statement of interest for the zoning hearing board. Ellen Rose, notice the township that she's not received capacity for reappointment.
And for Mr. Vital from Western Pennsylvania, that would be Phillips. Those, but that's all right. I think not having with the,
I move that we acknowledge the first regret for, keeping the very
we have a motion, is there a second? Motion and second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, there are no.
The Verizon plan. First, along the street, where the third, I guess, the third model put it in, cable stuff, the development. So, there's something, they might consider it, but it sounds like it's important.
Just a little quick background, Verizon throughout the last year has been, working throughout the township. They started in Crestwood Road area, on laying, new underground fiber, and they communicated with us, which was just, fibers at the time. They had no intention of, bringing cable. As they worked to, install various neighborhoods where we've been, dealing with permitting on, various locations. We continue to now expand this network. I got a random email now saying, they weren't doing just, wireless, internet, and they now want to offer cable service and engage our franchise. So, at this point, now we've changed direction, and they're looking for us to essentially negotiate that. What was better just, internet, which doesn't require cable franchise agreement, is now, plan to use it.
There are no comments to various boards, committees, or commissions this evening. Item 10, approval of minutes from previous meeting, November 6th, 2025.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 11, approval of transfers to the list and payroll. Mr. Vital.
Thank you. The other bar for your consideration, the general fund, $255,011.67. Solid waste fund, $8,602.40. Sewer fund, $78,668.09. Capital projects fund, $524.27. The open space maintenance fund, $501.50. The open space maintenance fund, $133,286.15. Payroll, $166,109.39. Developer escrow, $75,811.04. Total wall fund, $715,515.11.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second. Any commissioner comments? Mr. Roberts.
I just wanted to express my appreciation for an occasional time when you serve and deal with what family.
Always nice. Any public comments or questions? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, departmental manager reports. So are there any departmental director updates? Okay, engineering, 12.2.1, resolution 2025-56, approving the security release and project closeout, the guardian storage project at 4478 Cedar Brook
recommendation tonight that I have for you. This is already for the project. It's an addition for us to certify complete and enter the maintenance period. Accordingly, we are recommending the release of the remaining construction escrow money that remains, and that the applicant provide an amount of money for the maintenance period. That's what's before you tonight. I will say, relative to a conversation I had with Commissioner Roberts prior to the meeting, this is something that the 18-month maintenance period is something that is extremely common. Every township I've worked in does this. It is part of the MPC process. For this project, as well as the next one, the Shepherd's Corner project, it took a while for the applicant to get the notice of termination from the conservation district. So at least for us, I'm like, oh my God, it's been done for a while, but realistically, there was no fault of the township that it took a while. But procedurally, based on discussions with staff, we would like to get into but enforce the policy that when a project is recommended for closeout and mention of the maintenance period, that this becomes the policy in the project. We will still handle it on a case-by-case basis, as will be shown with the other project that I have on the LMT parking lot, where it really is not necessary. However, for this project and for Shepherd's Corner, we're recommending the maintenance period, and effectively, here you get your construction money back, but we still want the maintenance period secured. So that's what's before you for guardian storage. The escrow release is in the amount of $70,000, $70,315.02. And then the maintenance period security would be $94,747. Okay.
Do I have an estimate?
I'm sorry.
Any calculated,
Yeah, the amount is in my
just as a
okay, yeah, it is referenced in my April 20th letter, so I can go through that in detail.
We have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion is second. Any commissioner comments, questions? Any public comments? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? 12.2.2, resolution 2025-7, approving a security release and project closeout for the Lehigh County Authority parking addition project at 1053 Spruce Road.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This one is what I refer to as the different one of three in that extremely small project, basically a parking lot and our improvement, super small project. We were recommending to you, we're certifying the project is complete and recommending that it be closed out. There's nothing on here that we feel would really warrant having a maintenance period.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second? Second. Motion second. Any commissioner comments or questions? Any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Vote. 12.2.3, resolution 2025-58, approving security release and project closeout for the Shepherd's Corner project at 5621, 5591, 5573 Hamilton Boulevard.
Thank you. Yeah, this project started a while back. This one is a little different from the guardian storage in that based on previous agreements and other design considerations, there actually is a pipe that runs through this project that is the responsibility of the township. The guardian storage project, everything in there is all privately owned and maintained. This one, however, does have a pipe that runs through the project away from Hamilton Boulevard. So this one in particular, I think, is appropriate to have the respective maintenance period. This also does have a release recommendation for the remaining construction escrow in the amount of $70,502.05. And then should the board approve this, we would have an enter into a maintenance period, and they would post maintenance security in the amount of $102,330.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, there's a second. Motion and second. Any commissioner comments or questions?
Just to let that, they was carried out. How long was that, bro?
18 months.
18 months, yeah. So that is the standard amount of time specifically, required for these authorized by the LMT.
Thank you. Commissioner Roberts.
Okay, one thing that ways the payment to off the salary is 15%.
Yes, it is. If you weren't meeting my council with PKC, then here, what Commissioner Roberts is saying is that the way the maintenance period escrow is calculated is straight up 15% of construction costs. That's how I arrived at these figures. In the past, I have had projects where developers have requested to negotiate that. We will do that on occasion, just so the board knows that these two are, I believe, the first that went to the maintenance period with Lower Mahoney. That's how I arrived at this number. Just kind of straight up, let's set a policy. Here's where we're at.
So, yeah, this is something, here's a little. Eastern Pennsylvania, and I fully support that the project closed out. Required. And that's a it changed to this thing.
Thank you, Commissioner Roberts. Are there any public comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, we'll call for vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, Mr. McAdams, I need you first.
That's all I have tonight.
Okay, any questions? All point three solicitors, Solicitor Roberts.
I have no idea.
Any questions? Solicitor. All point four, Council Manager, Mr. Wright.
Just two items, to reminder of the crash, there's people at the community center, they're good enough to call. And then the other thing I will probably chase here, but, we received word that Little Spur, will, weather permitting, should be open, next week, the 25th. So, as long as we get good weather, that project on the turnpike commission, should be complete or at least open to the county public. So, that's all I have on this discussion.
2 days ahead. Another one ahead, that's shot. 27. But 24, 20, that's pretty darn close. Okay, anything else, Mr. Wright?
Not doing that discussion.
Fantastic. I don't want to hear your voice. Any questions from council? Okay, other business, is there any unfinished business? 14 board commissioner reports. The next board workshop is November 24th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The next regular board meeting is December 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. There will now be an executive session following this meeting. With that, we are